wife of Mr. Emile Carr, mother of 2 beautiful children, and a senior risk analyst. Tell me a bit more about yourself.
Well, that is about myself. So, yeah, my name's Shardae. I am the wife of Emile. We have 2 gorgeous daughters who are currently 6 years old and 1.5. I work in the insurance industry. I've been in that industry for 15 years now, and I'm a senior risk analyst. I enjoy Pilates. I enjoy organising things, so anything from holidays to events, and I love holidays.
Nice. So I want to take us a little bit further back. As a Black female working in the corporate industry, tell me a bit more about your family background and your upbringing and how that may have influenced where you are today.
Okay, so I'm the eldest of 4 children, and my parents from a young age have always prioritised education, about doing your best. I think it was clear from an early age that I was good at maths, and I think my parents always wanted me to pursue something that was a bit more traditional, like maths. My other siblings got to pursue what they wanted, but the overall message was always do your best and work really hard, and just aim for the sky, really. So I kind of fell into insurance in the way that when I went to university, I just wanted to make sure I was doing something that was related to my degree. I had loads of people that said they went to uni and they don't do anything to do with their degree. And I just thought, what's the point in going to university, paying all that money, and then you do something different? So I've thought, if I'm going to do a maths degree, which I did, a maths and statistics degree, what can I do with it? And I looked through the prospectus and it said accounting, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And then actuary, and I was like, oh, I could do that. So it sounded great because it was more around statistics, and I would always say that I'm a statistician as opposed as a mathematician. I like statistics because they make sense. It kind of gives numbers to the world and gives logic, if you know what I mean. And so I went to uni, I did that degree. I graduated with first class degree, and so I thought, great, I will become an actuary. So I'll do those really hard exams. And it was really hard. If anyone that's done professional exams, studying whilst working is always really tough. And then for them to be really technical was really tough. But I enjoyed my role in insurance. I loved the fact that it was different aspects of insurance where I was working, the area in which I was working in. And I love the fact that I was using what I was good at, which was statistics.
Nice. So you've also been coined the Queen of Organisation. What's this about?
So I think it just helped. I think because my personality is very logical, I like things to be in order. And so I'm quite detail orientated. The way I do my life is based on organisation. So it just helps me to function better. It helps me to think clearer. It helps me to be more efficient in everything that I do. And so I'd say that the word organisation probably flows through every area of my life. So whether it's at work, at home particularly, and just, socially as well amongst friends. In terms of how I run my home, every single task from cleaning windows to cleaning skirting boards is on a schedule of some sort. I have it on an app that reminds me every month or every 2 weeks that what needs to be done. The laundry's on there, what laundry needs to be done, what uniform needs to be put out for the next day, what vitamins need to be taken every day. Like everything is on that app under different subjects. And that's how I get the stuff out of my head and ensure that it's organised, if you know what I mean. So I don't have to remember, this evening I need to remember to write in my daughter's homework diary, because it will come up on my app because I've preset it. Anything that kind of comes up, like, so if, I don't know, I need to book a restaurant and I know I can't book it before a certain amount of time, I'll put a reminder in my phone. everything's organized. It's all there. So if I lose my phone, or God forbid, like, I'd be in trouble.
It seems like you're the perfect friend to have around if you've got a bad memory.
Yeah, I am that person that's just like, oh, hey guys, just to remind you that this needs to be done, or you need to start doing this, or if you haven't started thinking about that, that needs to be thought about. So
nice. And you said that you come from a big family, so you're the eldest of 4 children.
Yeah.
Do you think that that has affected the way you parent and manage your home today?
Yeah, possibly. My mum is second generation or first generation Jamaican. Her parents came here after the Second World War as teenagers, and so she was born here. And then my dad came to the UK when he was 10 years old. I think the way that they chose to raise us was very conscious, and it was really about working hard and doing your best. And also charity. I definitely learned that from my parents about showing people charity. So whether that's opening your home to give them food, or whether that's spending time with people. My dad was a pastor at one point, a leader of a church, and we definitely saw how he invested in people, like how he spent time listening to people, how he cared about people, like how my mum would, if she had extra food, always bringing people food and feeding people, and really, yeah, just spending time and caring for people. I think that has been a big theme growing up. I think also my parents taught us about being independent, about not relying on anyone, and walking your own walk, running your own race. One thing was always like, don't follow friends, like you do your own thing. And I think that's helped hugely in the way that I think all of us as siblings are quite independent, and we can survive and thrive, and we're fighters really. Like when we face failure or we face difficult times, we can definitely bounce back. And I realize that it's also because we have such a strong family unit and we are close. Also being the eldest of 4, I know that there's something that Emile probably doesn't always understand because he's the youngest, that I feel very protective over my siblings. I feel like I am, because I'm their elder sister, I am there for them to use. Like, I'm there for them at all times. And whatever they need, I will be there for them. So yeah, I'm a voice of reason, I think. I think they bounce ideas off me, just or to gain some clarity on things, they'll call me. And my parents are like that as well, I think. They definitely call me if they need some advice or want direction on something. And if I don't know it, I'll figure it out and I'll research it, and then I'll come back to them with my points of view. So I think that's kind of the role that I play within our wider family. We also go to Centre Parks every year as a wider family, as for a weekend. We're going this weekend, and I organise that as well. So I start from booking it to sending all the emails, what happens, like letting people know when they need to pay for things, what needs to be booked, getting a general idea of what needs to be bought in terms of the groceries, allocating those groceries out, making sure the kids have their activities booked and what they're doing and what time of day it is, and organising that schedule. And usually, we have a great time. It's a fantastic weekend. So
it seems that you don't need the app. It seems that you're the app.
I wish.
So obviously you planned the holidays. Mm-hmm. Where was the last place that you and Emile went to as a couple together?
Oh, okay. That would have probably been over 3 years ago, unfortunately. We went to Brussels for 3 nights, I think it was. We dropped our daughter at my parents' house and went to Belgium for a few nights, and that was just really lovely. I loved it. It was just so nice to spend time just together and not have to consider the kids. And so we did like walking tours. We ate chips and chocolate, and it was just a really great weekend. I mean, Emile wasn't too thrilled about the walking tours because I'm a history buff. Like everywhere we go, I need to know about the place, like historically, and I love those walking tours. Emile's not too enthused about them, but he'll come along. So,
And what's Emile's involvement in the holidays? Like, who plans what, or is he happy to go along with you, or how does that
he
work?
just turns up.
Okay.
So I send him a diary invite for the day, the time, and he turns up.
Nice.
And I think that's because he trusts me. I tell him where we're going, a general idea of what we're doing, and I definitely will ask him his opinion on things. But because he trusts me with our holiday time, he just lets me get on with it. There definitely has been times where we're on the way to the airport and he doesn't know where we're going because he's forgotten. So one time we were on our way to Mauritius for our baby moon when I was pregnant with our first daughter, Nia, and he thought we were going to Morocco, and it was like, we're not going there, we're going to Mauritius. So he doesn't even know what's in the suitcase, to be fair. Like, he just turns up.
Nice. Perfect. So that brings me nicely on to the next set of questions I want to ask you. It's about your marriage. How did you and Emile meet?
Oh, well, we met in a club.
Okay.
But it wasn't like that. We were actually at a club for our friend's birthday, to celebrate our friend's birthday. And so I'd noticed him, and to be fair, I didn't notice him because I was necessarily attracted to him or anything like that. It was just I noticed his shoes, and he had some really great shoes on, and I knew that he was part of our party, so it was safe to offer him a compliment without there being anything weird there. And so I just said to him, "Hi, I really love your shoes," and he was like, "Thanks," and that was it. That was the interaction for that night. And then the following day, I got a message on Facebook, and it was him. And so before I started interacting with him or talking to him, I just messaged a few people that I knew may have known him to get some character references, because that's always important. And they vouched for his character. And so I just thought, okay, well, that's fine. We'll start talking. And and I guess the rest is history.
Excellent. So it seems that if you want to go get a good wife, you need to wear good shoes. What other tips would you give any singletons out there?
I would say look for character. So something that was really evident to me early on about Emile was that he was of a good character. So he had integrity, he was honest, he was transparent, he was vulnerable. He wasn't afraid to share with me some of the ugly parts of where he'd been and the journey that he'd walked. And I think coming from a relationship prior to that time that there were many lies, I really appreciated the honesty. In fact, to be fair, it took me back a bit. I was like, oh, this is a bit too much. But one thing that showed me was that he was always going to be honest. And I can work with that. When I know where I stand, we can work with that, right? And that has definitely been a thing within our relationship. So I know I trust Emile 100%, and he trusts me too, because there is always that honesty there. We're always transparent with each other. It's not even a question. So I'd say those looking for a partner, look for character, because at least you know what you're working with.
So we've got character, honesty, trust, and good shoes.
Oh. Yeah, I guess so.
So we're moving on 10 years into your marriage. Next year, is it?
Yeah, next year, 10 years.
So what would you say have been the positive parts, and what would you say have been the not so positive parts?
Okay, so I'd say that Emile and I respect each other. So there's huge respect within our relationship. I know he respects me for who I am and what I'm capable of, and I respect him for who he is and what he's capable of. Naturally, there is love there, but love doesn't carry a marriage, because sometimes you don't feel like you're in love, right? So there's that commitment to love there. So we decide that we're loving each other And that love isn't always just a feeling. It's about action. It's about showing each other that we love each other. And I say that we're good at that. I'd say the areas that we're also a great team. Yeah, I'd say we are great teammates. We've always got each other's back and we work really well together. I think because we have shared values, we know what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. And so we just get on with it. We know what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and we do what we need to do. Some seasons it means that I take on the reins a bit more regarding certain things, and other seasons he'll take on the reins. But because we work so well as a team, we adapt as we need to in different seasons. I'd say our area of improvement is always going to be communication. I think we communicate a lot, but where we're always improving is how we communicate. And I think that's mainly because Emile and I think differently and we do things differently. So I am a very logical thinker. I think based, like, if there's a number line, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like it has to go in order. Whereas Emile's a creative thinker, so he thinks 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and maybe back to 1. And so that's how we communicate too. I start from the bottom and the beginning, and he's just like, get to the point. Whereas he starts at the point, and I'm just like, I don't understand where that's come from. So we are always having to be conscious of the way in which we communicate. And I know that when we're not conscious of that, and when we're not trying to be effective in our communication, we run into problems. And that was something that we knew quite early on in our relationship, before we even got married, because we did premarital counselling, and that came as the only area that we kind of needed to work on. And so that's something that we've always known about and something that we're aware of and we're always working on, and I think we'll always have to work on.
I, for one, love to get experience or advice from people that have had experience. There's a lot of people out there that want to give relationship advice and they haven't had a 10-year-long experience to really offer that advice. So what myths would you like to dispel about marriage?
I'd like to dispel the myth that roles are permanent. So I realised that in marriage there are always going to be roles, right? That people do things or have certain tasks that they have to do, but they're not permanent because every season is different. And as individuals, you change and you evolve. And so in one season where Emile would do all the cooking, okay, that season hasn't happened yet, but we'll get there. Where Emile would do all the cooking, there'll be another season where that's just not possible. And I would have to take on a majority of the cooking. So I'd say the myth that I know a lot of people kind of go into relationships saying, well, this is what I'm doing and this is what he's doing. It doesn't really work like that, because life changes and you need to adapt. And so being flexible in your approach is so important, in your approach to your marriage and your approach to how things change is really important to the fluidity of your relationship.
And what would you say about salary expectations? That's a big topic at the moment. Who earns what, and what we do with her money or his money. Is it our money? It's
definitely our money. I'd say that Emile and I's relationship when it comes to money is, I think we flow really well. We know what we're doing. I think from early on, I had to get used to how Emile earned money in the early part of our relationship. Because he's run his own business, things look differently for him. Whereas when I've worked for however long I've worked for, I've always got a regular salary. I know exactly how much I'm getting every month, and that's just been it. Whereas at the beginning part of our relationship, that wasn't it for Emile. Emile was just like, we need to pay the bills when I get the money. And I was like, that doesn't work. What do you mean? Like... And he was like, oh, you pay them when you can. I was like, no, you need to pay them by the date. Like, so there was a lot of learning there as well, a lot of patience on my part, and figuring out what worked for us. I think that the way I see it, my earning potential is our earning potential. If I'm doing well in my career and my role and I'm making a certain salary, it's because he supported me to do that. And then it's our money, right? So, and I believe he feels the same. Like, if I'm able to cover certain things and he can do other things, and I don't, I see our salaries as ours, as opposed to individual. And I know that's different for everyone. I know that for some people, their husband's salary is theirs together and their wife's salary is hers. Like, that works for them and that's fine. But I think you have to find what works for you as a couple. And like I said, be adaptable, because every season will be different.
I think that's sound advice. That's really, really spot on. Okay, so I'm proud to say that I'm actually the godfather of your youngest daughter, Brielle. So, being a mother for the second time, how has that changed, or has it stayed the same? Like, what can you tell us?
It's definitely changed. I think that I always knew I wanted to have 2 children. Emile wanted 4 in the beginning, and I was like, no. And then we had 1, and he was like, yeah, 1's enough. And then I had to convince him to have 2. So I think we got into a great groove, a great pattern with our first child, and there's like 4.5 years between them. But I needed that 4.5 years. I needed to kind of figure myself out again and breathe and work life out. And so when we had Brielle, who's our second child, things were a lot harder than I ever had anticipated. I think having to manage and juggle 2 little humans, as well as their schedules and their needs, and then also be a good wife to my husband, and also find the things that fulfill me and help me grow and make me happy outside of my family, has been a real challenge to balance and manage. And so I think we're still figuring it out. We're still finding our groove as parents of 2 children. But we prioritize each other and them, and I'm grateful and I'm happy.
Excellent. So I believe that children's characteristics are formed as earliest while they're in the womb.
Yeah.
So you've had 2 kids. Mm-hmm. Can you see a distinct difference or their characteristic traits between one child to the other?
Absolutely.
Can you say that certain characteristics are Emile's and certain ones are yours? Obviously, the ones that are bad, obviously, are Emile's.
Yeah,
the ones that are good are yours, right?
Definitely. So, absolutely. I think we see it more in our 6-year-old. There was a point even this morning where I can't remember, like, she asked him something, and I literally said I was thinking the same thing. because she asked him a question that I was just about to ask him, because she had that characteristic from me. I think also there's when she's grumpy and tired, I'm just like, that is you, Emile. She's your child. So yes, there's definitely characteristics that she gets from me, and then she gets from her dad, but then she's also her own person. So she is a happy, like, just bubbly and joyful child. And I wouldn't necessarily say that me and Emile are happy, bubbly, or joyful in that way. And she's super sociable. She loves people. She's really confident and just going up to people and just wanting to make friends. And so Nia's definitely her individual self, as well as gaining like great aspects from us as well. And then even Brielle, at 18 months old, you can see her character. She is strong. She is determined. She knows what she wants. She can barely say words, but she's very clear on what she wants. We're just doing our best to raise 2 strong and compassionate and loving and good charactered children. So people, yeah.
Excellent. So how does parenting affect yours and Emile's relationship? So I know you run a very structured household, and bedtimes are more or less set in stone. So is this something that you learned from the first child, or is it something that you've picked up along the way, or is it something that you always planned?
Yeah, so because we don't live that close to family, and now we do, which is great. But in the beginning of our relationship, we lived quite far from my parents, and so when we had Nia, we realised that, and Emile's parents live abroad, and when we had Nia, we realised that we didn't have that help, and so the thing about bedtime is that you need to go to bed early so mummy and daddy can deflate and we can spend time together or do whatever we need to do. So in our household, our kids go to bed at 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on the dot. And I know in the past that people have kind of been like, oh, Shardae, you're so strict. But there is really, number one, they need the sleep. And both my kids are early risers as well. So whether they go to bed at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, they're still going to be up at 5:30. So the earlier that we get them to bed, the better. And then secondly, we need to deflate. We need to spend time together. We need to talk or just relax. And so that is definitely part of the structure of our family. I think definitely having two kids can impact your marriage in the way that you don't get to spend that quality time. And so you have to be intentional about the quality time that you spend. It doesn't always look the same. So it doesn't always look like going out for a meal and enjoying each other's company that way, or going away for a weekend. It can just look like we're going to turn the TV off this evening and just chill and have, I don't know, like some popcorn and just chat. And that's our quality time. So we've had to be creative and intentional about that. And I think we're still getting better at it. I think it's always room for improvement. But I think we're doing all right.
Excellent. So I want to talk a bit more about your character. So I know you fairly well, and I know that you're a woman of your word. Now, the reason that I say this, I'm going to give a bit of context here. So quite early on when I met you, when you were moving from your first house to your second house, you had already planned and had a picture of where you wanted to live. And you specifically said to me, I'm going to be moving, or we are going to be moving over there. And that's where we're going to live. And by that point, it hadn't even been built yet. It was still in construction. And true to form, X amount of years later, that's exactly where you live in. Yeah. So I want to know a bit more about you and a bit more about, like, when you say something, have you always been that driven to achieve what you say you're going to do?
Yes. So I'm definitely, I'd say I'm a pretty driven person, but not to a fault. So I am very much like, I have got an eye on the goal, but if I have to meander off the path in which I thought I'd go on, that's fine too. It helps that Emile's driven too. Like, he has great ambitions, and so we can support each other in that. I think part of it also is that we're Christians as well, and I believe in God. I believe that he has great plans for us. And part of that, wanting to move to that area or move to that specific place, I felt that was for us. I can't even kind of explain that to you. I can only say that it's kind of, like, you know, when you're really sure about something, that's what it was. And so even the year before we moved there, I'd said to Emile, this is going to be our last Christmas in this house that we were renting because we're moving there. And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, okay then. But I was just like, no, this is the last Christmas here. So the way I'm packing up the Christmas decorations is because we're moving. And yeah, and lo and behold, we did move, but it wasn't a straightforward kind of journey even then. It was, we got the house and then it fell through. And then I called my dad crying. It was just like, I really thought this place was for us. And I remember he said to me, you know, Shardae, you don't know if people are going to drop out. And that just set like ding, 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 like bells off in my head. And I called the developer and I said, look, do you have a backup buyers list? And they said, yeah, we do actually, because it was a new build property. We do. Would you like to be added to it? And I was like, of course. And she said, well, just so you know, there are 5 people ahead of you. And I was like, no problem. Because in my head, we were getting the house. And so, yeah, a couple of months, no, it wasn't even there. It was like 3 weeks later, I got a phone call and she said, oh, are you still interested in a property? And I said, yeah, we've got everything ready to go. And she said, you know, the 5 people ahead of you, they all dropped out. So the property's yours if you want it. Yeah, I just, honestly, the way I felt that day, you know, when you know something is for you, that's what I knew. And yeah, that's kind of, it's not necessarily how I live my life, but I always feel like if something is for me, like nothing that happens can take that away. I'd even give the example of when I did my degree. So when I went to university, it was actually the second university that I'd gone to. So when I did my A-levels, I got 3 A's at A-levels and 2, I don't know if they're still called A-levels, and then 2 AS's. And I applied for all the top universities in London. I got into all of them. And so I had a choice of which one I wanted to go to. So I chose the university just based on its proximity to my house, which is, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. So I went there and I was miserable. It was a really tough place to be. I failed my first year. I failed half the modules. I went back to do the other half, and I got ill that year. And then I was just like, I need to figure out what I'm doing, because that university wasn't for me. I just didn't feel like it was for me. My mum was just like, well, you're not going to sit around at home doing nothing. And my dad was just like, you know, just take your time, think about what it is you want to do. And there was a university that I had been to visit, and I'll name it because I obviously went there in the end, which was Queen Mary. And when I'd gone to visit that university, I absolutely loved it. And there was something about the campus that I loved. But because it wasn't the top 10 universities in the UK, I thought, why would I go there? And I've been accepted to 4 of the top 10 universities in the UK, right? It only made sense logically in my head at the time. But I decided that I was going to go to Queen Mary. And at that point, it was at the end of clearing, like people had already got clearing numbers and all that other stuff. I called their admissions tutor and I said, look, I really feel like I need to be on the course there, and I've seen the course and it's great. And he was just like, I'm so sorry, we're already oversubscribed for our course. There's no space. And I was like, look, I went to UCL, I did 3 A's. I got 3 A's at A-level and all this other stuff. He was like, I'm really sorry. So I got off the phone. I was like, right, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to that university. And so I emailed him. And at the time that I'd emailed him, sent the email asking again, like, can I have a place in your university? I basically got ready because I was going to campus to speak to the admissions tutor face to face. This was after going through the clearing lines. So when you go through the clearing lines, you speak to a couple of people that are at the universities, and they were both very rude to me, but that's not the point. So I was getting ready to go, and I thought, let me just check my email before I go. And he'd emailed back to say, look, Shardae, I'm happy to give you a place, but you need to get a clearing number and a UCAS number in the next week. And so I was like, no problem. So the day I started university, I had no UCAS number, no clearing number. And if you know, the whole university process, going to university, you need that number. So I started university with neither of those, but I got them within the week that he asked me to get them to. And I graduated 3 years later with a first class in maths and statistics. So yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that if something's for me, I don't let go.
I feel like that's a mic drop.
Yeah.
Right there, you got the degree, first class, you got everything you needed, and it was all in God's time. So I'm really into fitness. I believe that fitness is a good means of mental well-being as well as your physical well-being. I hear you do Pilates and boxercise. Is that right?
Yeah, so I do Pilates, which I really enjoy. I love it. I think it's a great discipline for anyone and everyone because it focuses on your core, and it's your core that essentially holds you up. So it improves your posture, it improves like back pain, all of those things. It brings everything into line. And so I love Pilates for that reason. I did Pilates up to 34 weeks whilst I was pregnant with my first daughter. I remember my Pilates teacher saying to me, it will get to a point where your body's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'll do Pilates till I'm ready to give birth. And at 34 weeks, I said, I'm not coming back. So out that Saturday, she just said, look, I'll see you after you had the baby. And I genuinely believe that it kept me strong throughout my pregnancy and even with my recovery. Like I felt really strong. I didn't do Pilates during my second pregnancy because we were in and out of lockdowns and I was just lazy and liked to eat, and it was a lot harder. So so I genuinely believe in Pilates as a discipline for everyone, especially if you're tall. I'm 5'9" and I know that I'm susceptible to back pain. So anytime I'm out of Pilates, I'm not doing it, I can definitely feel twinges in my back. I do boxercise because it's good cardio, but I don't enjoy it because I get tired. So, so I definitely believe, like you said, in the power of exercise for your mental health. Like I know that when I work out, I feel better, I think clearer, I sleep better. But I don't always want to go. There are definitely times that I'm just like, this Tuesday, I said to my husband, I don't want to go. He was like, I think you should go. I'm like, okay. And I hated every minute of it because she was definitely trying to kill us. But I'm grateful that I went.
So what does your exercise journey look like post-children and pre-children?
So pre-children, I used to go like maybe 3-4 times a week to the gym. I had that time. Now it's like kind of just figuring it out when we can. I think I do a class on a Saturday morning, and I tend to do classes because I'm lazy and I'll go to the gym and pretend to do stuff and then convince myself that I've done something and I haven't. So I go to classes and I go to the very front because I know I'll cheat. So if I go to the front, I can't cheat and I'll do the work. So on a Saturday morning, I do Tabata, which is similar to HIIT, but really intense. And in that time, Emile takes Nia to gymnastics and takes the baby Brielle with him as well. So I get a couple of hours to myself. And then I tend to do boxercise once a week, and I try and do something else, whether it's Pilates or yoga or something else. So nowadays it's about kind of fitting it in when I can, if I can. Sometimes it looks like doing 10-minute HIIT exercises. My second sister is like really into exercise and she's great. She has no children at the moment, so she has that freedom. And she's encouraging me and my youngest sister to do like just 10 minutes a day. So we do it on WhatsApp. We get on a WhatsApp call, we put a YouTube video on and we do it together. And it's great. In that way, we just fit it in where we can because my youngest sister has 2 kids as well. So it's just about fitting it in where you can now.
So one thing I've picked up from you is that you are someone that is driven by a goal and a destination. Yeah. So does your marriage encourage you to also keep in shape?
Only because I feel like it helps with my mental health. I don't feel any sort of pressure from my husband regarding the way that I look, which is an issue because in the first year of our marriage, I put on so much weight because I was happy. and I am happy. And my husband's a snacker and he is blessed with a really fast metabolism and I am not. So I don't stay in shape for my husband or for our marriage. In the physical sense, I think I stay in shape for the mental sense and the emotional sense, because if I'm more if I'm on point mentally and emotionally, that's beneficial in my marriage, right? So that is the primary reason, really, as opposed to looking good. Because I feel like if you're emotionally well and you're mentally well, you will feel good in your body. And I think that's just a byproduct of doing exercise. So.
Nice. So sometimes it's like the older I get, the more out of touch I think I am with current affairs, aka celebrity gossip, right? So it's like the older you get, the less you know. What's your unpopular opinion and your guilty pleasure?
So my guilty pleasure is reality TV on Netflix. I love Love is Blind. I love Married at First Sight. I used to watch Real Housewives, but I haven't watched that in a while. Most recent one, Dubai Bling, I really enjoy on Netflix, and I love that because they speak like I'd say 70-80% in Arabic, which I love, and then they occasionally throw in English, so you need to be like on point. You need to be reading the subtitles. My unpopular opinion. I don't know if I have an unpopular opinion. I know Emile and I get into a lot of debates. He has a lot of unpopular opinions.
Tell me one.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, they're a bit controversial. I'm not going to share, actually. I'm not going to share.
Okay. So Emile thinks you should have been a lifestyle blogger.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm just not interested. I don't have the energy or the passion or the capacity to do it. I think that I follow a number of mums on YouTube and Instagram, and I love their content. I just don't feel like I think I have a lot to offer. However, I don't want to put myself or my family in a position to be criticised by people I don't know. And I'm perfectly happy with our salary and our lifestyle and what we earn. So yeah, I'm quite happy just to offer free advice to friends and family and anybody else who kind of comes to me.
And manage time as well.
And manage, right. Manage time, yeah.
Cool. So if I was to look at your Instagram history or your Instagram most search, who would I find? Who's your icon?
So I love a mummy blogger by the name of Emily Norris. I really like her because she feels really authentic and just normal. I think I followed her for a while since I had Nia, because her son is a month younger than Nia, and I remember looking for videos on pregnancy and stuff like that, and she had one, and I really connected with her content. And I think it's because she feels very authentic to me. Whether she is or not, I don't know. Like, because we just don't know people, right? On social media, it's only like 2% of their whole lives. So, but I like that her content just feels really real and authentic. And that's what I like about the people that I follow on social media. They tend to be not polished, but just authentic.
Nice. So obviously, tying in with what Emile's opinions are on you being a lifestyle blogger, whenever I come to your house, Nia's hair is always pristine. It's not relaxed, and it's so well groomed and taken care of. She looks like she could be on the box of The Dark and Lovely. So why have you chosen not to relax her hair, and how do you maintain such a beautiful standard?
Yeah, I mean, number one, Nia's 6 years old, so I would never think of putting a chemical in her hair to permanently alter the structure of it. I think that I had to go on my own journey with hair straightening and appreciating my hair. Growing up in a home with 3 girls, my mum always took immaculate care of our hair, and really looked after it. However, I think I definitely had a complex about how thick my hair was and how kinky it was. And so it was relaxed from, well, I first got my first relaxer when I was 12, but that was because I was going to be a bridesmaid and she knew that they wouldn't be able to manage my hair. But then I started relaxing it regularly after 16 years old. And then when a couple of years before I got pregnant with Nia, I just decided just to not relax my hair as much and just see how far I could go without relaxing it. And part of that was because my aunt used to relax my hair at her salon, and I now lived in East London and she was in West London. It was just like, I'm not going to go back and forth that many times. So I started doing it every 6 months, then I pushed it to 8 months, and then I got pregnant with Nia, and I was like, well, I'm not going to relax it whilst I'm pregnant with her. And then I kind of just decided, well, I don't want to straighten my hair anymore permanently, because I want my daughter to see mummy with the same hair as hers and love her hair. And that was really important for me. And I mean, Nia had no hair for 2 years. Like, she had absolutely no hair. She was bald. And then it just started coming in, like, it just flourished from nowhere. And she has beautiful hair. And I love that she loves her hair as well. I love that she thinks that our hair is magic, that because when it gets wet, it curls up. And then if we straighten it with heat, it can go straight. I love that she loves who she is and who she naturally is. And I think a lot of work has gone into that.
All right, so we're going to do a quick fire round. I'm going to say 10 statements or 10 questions. You might need to choose an option from either or. And I want you to answer as quickly as you can. Okay? What's your favorite season?
Spring.
Describe your style in one word.
Classic.
What's your favorite song?
I'm Every Woman.
Name a 4-letter word beginning with B.
Bird.
Last time you cried?
Oh, probably yesterday. I cry every day.
Favorite movie of all time?
Oh, Sister Act 2.
Chocolate or crisps?
Oh, crisps.
Going out or staying in?
Staying in.
Cooking or takeout?
Takeout, sorry.
What's been your favorite age so far?
My favourite ages have been since I've been married. So 28 to now.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram, I don't even have TikTok.
Heels or flats?
Oh, I love a heel.
Favorite destination?
Oh, I really love the Maldives.
Nice. All right. So, I've got one more question for you. I know you fairly well, but I want you to tell me something about yourself that I didn't know and something that the viewers might find interesting.
Oh, I'm double jointed. And I used to put my leg behind my head all the time. And once I did it at school, and the kids were really grossed out, and I realised that not everyone can do it. So that's that.
Excellent, Shardae. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. I've learned so much more about you, and true to form, you are a very committed and driven person, and it's very inspiring. So I've enjoyed this experience today.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.